Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Lighthouse Sessions. One of my favorite things is when I have a past guest returning. And Patrick, it's been a little while, but I'm always happy to have a recurring friend. So, everybody say hi to Patrick Seaton. Patrick, why don't you tell the audience a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Well, Patrick Seaton. I am the founder of Innovative Management Tools, and recently I created a brand company that's called the Decoded Mind. And what I do is focus on how to keep the human in the world of AI. That's my mantra for the over the last 6 months. I've seen it, been building tools, books, all about it. So that's what I want. I think we need to keep the human in AI.
I love that. Now let's talk about what that looks like for you because I think it can sound a little, there's a human in the loop, and people have different definitions even of that. And honestly, I either agree with it completely or I disagree entirely based on the definition. So let's talk about what you see as the intersection between humanity and AI, because I think right now we seem like an endangered species, yet we have the tools to unlock our power. Is that fair?
Yeah, it is. It is. Uh, so if we step back before AI, and I do sales, I do change, I do different things, but I'll focus on sales in this. I have heard for decades salespeople say, "Well, I'm the best salesperson. Why can't you give me an assistant?" "Oh, you don't want me to sell because you're keeping me in the office doing all these administrative tasks."
Yeah.
"Oh, you make me fill in the CRM when I could be selling and it be with my clients." And okay, so kind of like in Cinderella, AI came along and the fairy godmother AI went bippity boppity boop bang, and now everybody has their own assistant, and they got what they were wishing for, what they wished for, which is more time to do that human stuff
Yeah.
that they said was so important. Unfortunately, the human interactions that they were clamoring for and using as justification are not getting any better because we're just doing the same thing. We're like a production line that we were doing things manually. We could get 3 widgets off it in an hour, and the widget had a defect.
Yeah.
All we did was increase the process with AI, like automation was, and now we can get 150 widgets, but they still have the same defect.
Yeah.
That's what we're doing with, in some cases with AI. We're freeing up the human to have more human to human time, but we haven't focused on the human to human improvement.
Okay, you and I are going to go down a rabbit hole because, first of all, I'm feeling and visualizing the old I Love Lucy scene where she works in the chocolate factory and they just keep turning up the speed
Yep.
and she's eating. And but the other thing, and this is the part that absolutely fascinates me. I used to be one of those guys who hated the administrative work because I was actually a high level salesperson, and I was required as part of my job to spend 4 hours a day doing database maintenance. And I was like, what the hell is that even? But between you and me, it was garbage because my micromanager, he would go find a dumpster with cheap lists dumped in, and they dump it into the database, and I'd all of a sudden have 10,000 leads to filter. And I'm like, that's not prospecting. That's, I don't know. It's dumpster diving is the word. But
Mhm.
one of the ahas I discovered is as people are getting more and more efficient with AI and things are speeding up, I forgot that people were being busy because they didn't know what to do and they didn't know how to build relationships. And you'll laugh at this because I would tell people, well, go build relationships. And I'm like, okay. And they go away and they come back. What do you mean by that? And I'm like, go talk to people. Okay. I went and talked to people and I didn't get any results. Your advice sucks. And I'd be like, okay, what did you talk about? Well, we talked about the weather and my dog. And I was like, the
Yeah.
the the reality, and I think you and I are going to cover this. the human to human interaction was never as good as we remembered it because we were bad at being curious.
Oh,
What do you think of that?
I absolutely agree. I mean, this is a generalization, but we are really not good communicators at all. And the reason is not because we don't want to be. Everyone wants to be a good communicator.
Yeah.
But when I prepare for communication, I so often write something, I read it, it sounds so great because, well, it should, because I wrote it.
Yeah.
And the problem is AI, when it's not a problem, but AI came along and it is the most powerful, let me stroke your ego tool out there. Okay. I never knew, Jeff. I never knew before AI that I have as many brilliant ideas as Thomas Edison 15 times a day. I'm
Yep.
surprised that I'm so brilliant. And what we needed to our brain likes hearing that. And so it reinforces what we want to hear. The challenge is that AI is only focused on you, the sender.
Yeah.
It's not considering the other person on the other side, because spoiler alert, every conversation has a receiver.
Yeah. That's the first thing people miss, right?
It is. And so we write for ourselves, AI polishes it up, makes it sound even better. We deliver it, and then we go, why isn't this landing?
Yep.
And so we were hoping, I don't know if we even really consciously thought about it, but in some ways, the more we thought about, if I just had more time to have more conversations, we will get more results. But you don't, because we aren't really fixing the problem. More time was not really the problem.
Yep.
I mean, if you only could do 4 calls in a day, but you had 4 good calls,
Yep.
maybe you don't need more than 4.
Yep.
You don't need more time. So I think we ran into this whole AI mountain, I'll call it. I mean, when it came out, I think collectively, society, we were standing at the bottom looking up going, oh my God, that is a big mountain.
Yep.
And some people started running up the mountain. Some
Yeah.
went a little bit slower, and we still have people sitting at the bottom going, I wonder if they're going to die. I'm going to see. I'm going to wait.
Yep. They're going to end badly, and I'm going to be able to say, I told you so.
Yes. And we're running up one side of the mountain. I think this productivity mountain, there are all the other sides. There's so much more to explore.
Yep.
But productivity is there to generate more, speed up, lower the cognitive load, repetitive tasks. Okay, and it does that. But I think we got so excited about it, we're like, well, it can do this, and it can do this, and maybe tomorrow it can make my coffee in the morning.
Yep.
Well, guess what? It can't. It has limits.
Yep.
And I think that's where what I've seen in the last 5 months is more and more people talking about that. That what you said, the human in the loop. And for me, the human in the loop is the receiver.
Yeah.
It's not using AI. The tools I have, I don't even say they're AI tools or AI powered or whatever it is. Because as soon as you say that, people's head goes trigger, hallucination. You're making stuff up.
They either want to fight, or freeze, right?
Yeah. So I say, I focus on the conversations, human to-human and if there's something that I can leverage from AI to help that, improve that, and focus more on the receiver, that's what I'm going to do. And that's where I think the next wave is.
I'm actually going to redirect you slightly, because I feel like your actual phrase is humans, plural, in the loop.
Yeah.
it is a funny thing because I'm going back to like elementary school, which was like, sometime last century. Every conversation has a sender and a receiver and a feedback loop.
Mhm.
And I mean, that is how ecosystems work, how nature works. And yet, I think that's the fascinating thing. Most people are using AI as a self-feedback loop to
Mhm.
boost the ego. One of the things I do that's weird is I analyze both sides of conversations and go, did I talk too much? I think what we see, and this is where I feel you're going, is AI gives us this unprecedented opportunity. If we're willing to be curious, we can grow.
Yes.
Now, one of the metaphors I'm going to share, everybody talks about climbing this mountain. And I realized that the perspective with AI is everybody is standing squarely looking up at the mountain. But one of the things I realized is when I climb the mountain, there's a mountain range, just every peak higher and different.
Oh yeah,
And,
absolutely.
and I think that is the fascinating part, that everybody thinks they're looking at the same mountain from the same position.
Mhm. I say exactly that. When you get to a certain altitude on that first mountain, and you kind of look over and you go, "Oh my gosh, there's another mountain over there."
Yeah.
I didn't know that. And that's that to me, that's the second mountain that's open for exploration, which is keeping the humans in the loop. And I like the change you made, the humans instead of the human. But even when you do that, I hear and I see, oh my gosh, wait, it's a little foggy, but I see a third mountain over there that I'm starting to hear about.
Yeah.
And that's this talk about um, autonomous agents that are just going to, all these agents are going to talk together and this and that. I'm not sold on that completely, but in all three of the scenarios, here's the thing. Whatever AI generates for you, someone's going to have to take that and go talk to another human being.
Yeah.
Or write to another human being, interact with another human being. And I think that's it can create my report, but then what am I going to do with the report? I'm probably going to go talk to someone about the report,
Yeah.
or it's going to create a presentation for me. Guess what? If I'm creating a presentation for me, I'm going to have to go present to people.
Yeah.
If it's helping me plan for my sales call or my change meeting with the stakeholder, I've got to go talk to somebody. So,
I have nightmares that at some point, all the stakeholders are going to have their own agentic force and they'll just negotiate with each other. And it's like, why do we need humanity? That's the inevitable. If we keep training them to eliminate us, guess what? They will learn how to do that.
yeah, I was just in a mastermind this week, and the topic came up about like there are companies that are building agents to talk to other agents in companies, and they do the buying and the reordering and the purchasing, and they, everything's done just based on the two agents talking. And someone put in there, so when there's a dispute, is the agent going to go to court?
Yeah. Who's testifying? Who's at the arbitration meeting?
Right. So I can see where that can help speed up the processes. I totally get that. But you made a comment a little bit earlier that some people went into this because they were looking for something to stroke their ego. I'm not really sure if we really went into it with that in mind. I think it just happened, and without even realizing it, we're like, I really like this. This is kind of fun because it's always pleasing me. I mean, imagine if AI was brutally honest at the very beginning in 2022, and you put something in and it said, you know what, that's a really dumb idea.
Yeah.
How many people would continue using it? I mean, that's like you're in a bad
I would.
relationship and yes, but a lot of people would not. That's like
No,
being in a bad relationship that you're always getting told you're wrong or something.
Yeah.
And pretty soon you're like, I don't know if I want to be in this relationship.
Yeah.
And AI has just made it so easy for us to feel good about ourselves.
Yeah. So I'm going to add some insight here because you'll find this funny. You can laugh at me if you will. I am of many things. Nonlinear thinker is the polite word, but in my DNA, I am autistic and I have ADHD. And one of the traits of being autistic is I am incredibly candid,
Mhm.
which most people, my version of candid is scathing, cruel. It's like I said, be honest, not be cruel. And it's like, but that's not on my meter. And so one of the things I've done as knowing this is, self-awareness, I have everything I touch has a level 0 candor, which is basically it's like sandblasting your soul and then shaming you for the holes that appear. um, that is my default, and that's how I work best.
Yeah.
Now my little scale goes all the way up to 10, which is, it's the sycophantic, I'll blow rainbows and bubbles at you. And it is fascinating because even people who say I want it candid, I get them to about a 7 and they start to twitch. I've never gotten anybody lower than a 7. But what I've found as me being nonlinear, it's helped me slow down and recognize, okay, I want this. Let's get to the chase. I go to a doctor. I don't want to hear about your credentials. Am I dying or am I okay? Skip
Yeah.
to the end. Whereas a lot of people want to know whose hands they're in, and they want it to be a little bit gentler. I've learned that I can analyze conversations, and I can go, okay, Jeff, you came in at about a 6. Here's what you could have done to be a 7. But again, I look at regular people. Nobody uses AI the way I do because, again, if you just have complete radical honesty, it can break you if you're, but for me, I've designed it that way because I want bad ideas to get broken. I don't want to go public. And the impetus for me was it, for whatever reason, when I first was using ChatGPT many years ago, it kept coming up with variations of your ideas are so brilliant, we should go hang them in the Louvre. And I'm not kidding. Once it actually gave me the letter to send, and I was like, okay, now I'm annoyed.
Yes. And that's where a lot of people, I hear it, well, people are disappointed. It was fun while it lasted. It was like the honeymoon period.
Yeah.
But now it's annoying when it won't actually give you a straight answer and you say, wait a minute, do you really believe this? I blah, blah, blah. And it's like, oh, I'm sorry, no, and you can almost read it going, I'm so sorry I gave you that. No.
Oh, shame on me. I'll go hang the shame curtains.
Yeah. And now people are, what was fun, they're saying, no, I don't need that, because it only takes once where you're giving, when you're given rainbow, sunshine, and unicorn advice, and you go use it, and you lose a big deal, or you really get in trouble. It only takes once. And then you go, oh, so maybe this is not, I should push back or something.
Yeah.
And that's what they don't really understand, is how to do that. And the real challenge I see, because all of the platforms are designed to please us, you can tell it in one chat, kind of rein it in, but then you open up a new chat and it's back to 0.
Yeah.
Now, like in Claude, you can go to the preferences and you can write things at the Claude level, and it, put some guardrails on it, which is good. And the tool that I created, Ask Alex, has those guardrails and says, you are not here to use Claude. Claude is just your writing tool, but everything you need is inside the connector. That's what you're going to use. And so it doesn't just say how wonderful you are.
Yeah.
It will say, I love the idea. I love where you're going, but that's not going to work.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
like,
and one thing, so our last conversation, I think you and I obsessed over the alligator reptilian brain.
mhm,
Um, I've been spending a lot of time obsessing over identity, and I'm fascinated by the the natural defenses. There's the, I can't remember, I think it's the autonomous automatic system, where that's predating even the reptilian. It's immediate. Is this friend or foe? And then you get to the, okay, we're going to let you in a little closer, and
right,
um,
right.
I'm a weirdo with words, but one of the things, the only thing I disagree with Bob Berg on, is he says that people, all things being equal, people do business with people they know, like, and trust. And I was like, nope, it's backwards. It's got to be trust. Because if
Trust.
you don't trust, you don't know. And if you don't know, you don't like.
Right. Yeah,
But it's, and again, it's not a criticism of Bob. It's just, I'm looking at the biology of it. And I think that's one of the things people don't recognize, is when it's to AI. I think it's called the Valley of the Uncanny. It sounds human like, but it creeps us out and we don't know why.
yeah, yep. It is really, um, for me, it's really fascinating when I see these emails that come through or whatever it might be, and how quickly you can detect if something was written by a human or by AI.
Yeah.
And um, as soon as you detect that it was written by AI, you start, there's just a little doubt, because our own personal experiences, it made stuff up. I've had it write, I'm writing an article and it put some stuff together and it said, oh, based on this study shows da 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 da. And I'm like, that is a really great study. I mean, can you give me the link to it? Oh, I made it up. It's just illustrative.
Yeah.
When we've received that kind of fake or incorrect information, when we and we're losing trust in the reality, when we the trigger is when we see something that's written too much like AI,
Yeah.
then we have the first step of, should I trust this?
Yeah.
But and it that's just a little seed that's planted, and the names or the words that it uses, you know, genuinely, honestly,
Quietly.
quietly, really, and phrases that, like, you should sit with this for a moment. Well,
Yeah.
sit with it? What do you mean? So I think, I mean, we know that everyone uses AI, and I am a proponent of AI, because I've heard people say, well, if you use AI, that's cheating. Like, okay. So I turn around and ask them, hey, do you use Word? Yeah. Do you use spell check and grammar check? Yes. You're cheating.
Yeah. Do you use that auto layout? Shame.
I mean, any other tool, we would say, why aren't you using the tool that can help you?
Yeah.
But we can't just rely on the tool to give us everything. We still have to be part of it, and we have the final say. And I think that's what many people are not really rereading it critically. It sounds so much better than I wrote it, so it must be even better than I thought.
Yeah. It's funny. My very first book I wrote, I was taught early in life that the only way to legitimately write a book was pen and paper. And it took months and it was agonizing and I got hand cramps. And when I got done, I was like, I am never, ever doing that again. And so I didn't actually write anything for a couple of years afterwards. And then I went, wait a minute, Hemingway was famous for his typewriter. That's not cheating.
No.
And then I realized, well, I speak better and faster and more serious. I'm a better communicator speaking. So I started recording things and transcribing. And I was like, okay, as long as the ideas are mine, and for me, I like to print it out at the end, and I'll do a little bit of a manual rewrite, because there is something about the pen on paper. But I do find one of the problems I have is when people use AI for things that they don't know how to judge as good or bad themselves.
Yes.
And I think with you, with
absolutely.
that, Ask Alex, you built it as a coach to help people get better at sales. A lot of people are like, oh, I can eliminate my sales team. No.
Mm-mm.
Patrick built a coach, not a
replacement. And it's not a manager. You can't get rid of your manager. No, you have to. This is the supplemental, the complement, the balancer, the fill in the gaps coach tool.
Yeah. And I think that's a lot of people miss that nuance, because I get a lot of, I don't do it anymore, but for a while I was building things for people. And then I realized that no matter what I built, they'd find a way to break it. And I was like, okay, I'm tired of fixing the things they broke. But my aha, and I think you did that with Ask Alex, was let's figure out what they know, and then figure out what they don't know, and then how do we fill in the skill gaps? Because I can talk about systems in my sleep, and I probably do, but not everybody dreams in flowcharts. And
right, it's very true.
I made the mistake. I sent one of my spreadsheets to one of my clients, and they literally broke down in tears and said, why would you do this to me? And I'm like, that's your process. No, it's not. And I'm like, yeah, it is. Look, step one. And she's like, all I see is a spreadsheet and a bunch of cells. And I was like, okay, we need to work on this. But I think that's what I'm trying to get at, is a lot of solutions ignore the human who's going to struggle with implementing it.
Oh, absolutely. Because I think we fell in love with the solution, or the potential of the solution, and we didn't fall in love when we need to fall in love with the problem.
Yeah.
And if the problem is us, or that we aren't doing something quite so good, that means I have to, like step one of Alcoholics Anonymous, I have to admit that I have the problem. Yeah. And if I don't admit that, then I'm never going to look for a way to improve it.
Well, the funny thing is, we have to admit that we are the problem. It's not that we have the problem, but we are the problem. You and I, we have some very similar language. One of my default settings, so I use two. At some point, these will be like Asimov's laws, I'm sure. Rule number one is we think twice and build once, which means we don't rush to a solution, because that's AI is defaulted to get to the finish line. And I'm like, no. It's the journey, not the finish line. So slow your roll.
Yes.
I have built in I lead, you follow. That gets rid of a lot of drift. But the other one I'm going to share with you is I was trained to fall in love with the problem, not the solution. I've taken it a step further, and I fall in love with the person with the pain, not the problem or the solution.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a minor detail, but sometimes I see a lot of engineers, they're so obsessed with the problem, they build, I think they're called the Rubin Goldberg machines, where they're ridiculously complicated things that solve one little thing, like making toast. But, there's 97 steps. They're great for entertainment. If you get bored, Google them on YouTube and watch some. But our clients don't want a manual this thick to try and figure out how to use the thing we gave them,
right,
when all they wanted was a cup of coffee.
Yeah. I the way I say exactly what you said, people want to know what time it is. Don't tell them how the clock was made.
Yep. Or where it was made, or what materials you extracted.
Yep.
And that's, I'm fascinated, because a lot of founders, especially in the AI space, they want to just tell me about the journey they took to get where they are today. And I'm like, stop there. Because first of all, I don't always think I'm going to have all the technical skills you do to understand what you said. Tell me like I'm a 3-year-old, what does it do? Why did you build this damn thing? And it is amazing because they go back to, you know, I have one guy, I'm not kidding. He sent me 100-page simple technical guide. And I'm like, I'm no smarter from this because I don't know what your guide says. And he came back with, well, it's a magic AI that solves problems. And I'm like, okay, you oversimplified. The answer is somewhere between one sentence and 100 pages.
Yes.
But here's the thing, and this comes back to what you were saying about the humans in the loop. He was communicating to me in what his style was and what he thought was completely legitimately practical. Whereas for me, I'm like, do I care enough to read this report? Yes or no? And when I couldn't get an answer, the answer was thanks, but no thanks. I don't even know what his thing did. It was probably brilliant, but he was asking me to do the work and figure out, is it for me and would it work? And I'm like, I don't know what it does.
Yeah, it's, sometimes we're just too close as the founders and the developers. We are too close to it. We know every ant that's crawling up and down the tree.
Yep.
And it's hard to even talk about the tree because the ants are so interesting.
Yep.
And it's the ants that, keep the tree alive or whatever.
Yep.
And then after that, we don't even see that the tree's in a forest, and the forest is in an ecosystem, and and that's not a critique of the person who developed it. That's what they should know.
Yes.
I mean, if they were the developer and you said, so really tell me about this, and they give you one line, it's like, yeah, but give me the detail. Well, that is the deal.
Yeah.
Then we go the other way and say, hold it.
Yeah.
You don't have anything else? So it is very hard to do that. I know that I see that in every solopreneur that tries to explain what they do, and it's just so hard. They're so passionate about what they do.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing is, I had a mentor that told me this, and I actually know how it's made, so that landed differently. But he said everybody wants to enjoy the meal. Nobody wants to see how the sausage was made. Yeah. And I'm like, but that's the thing. The sausage maker needs to know how it was made. The person cooking the sausage should know what it was made from. But the person enjoying it, they just want to know, will this taste good and will it fill my empty belly? I find it fascinating because it's like, no, do not explain the process.
Yeah, because you might not want to eat it. Maybe.
Yeah. Do not tell people, my wife has a standing order in our marriage. I'm not allowed to tell her what the casings are. And I'm like, I'm sure now it's different, but anyways, but that's the thing. When you explain the wrong level of detail, you're not communicating. You become the preacher, or you become the educator, or the, here's how you should build it. And it's like, I don't want to build it. I just want to enjoy it.
Yeah. Yeah. We are the developer. We are the advocate. We are the enthusiast. We are and it's really hard to separate those roles.
Yeah.
Because
and that's the thing. You need to separate them, right?
Yes, because it just gets too easy to be an advocate for it, and you go way into the weeds and the details.
Yeah. I'm going to share a really weird example that just resonated and it stuck with me. I read somewhere, I've not validated, I've not called him up and asked him, but I've read that Stephen King writes these massive novels and they're works of art and they're fantastic. He has hired someone to write the back cover because to him, every word in the book is important. and to distill it onto the back cover is almost an insult to his talent. And I think that that's what I'm getting at. And for the record, I can be that guy who can give you the 3,000-page instruction manual. And it's like, I just asked you where the nearest coffee shop is. I didn't ask you how you built the GPS.
Yeah. And grew the coffee beans and roasted them and
how did they get here and yada, yada. Yeah. So now, Patrick, I could talk to you all day, but I have a rule. I like to respect my guests and their time. Where can people go to learn more about collaborating with you or finding out what you're working on?
Best place is LinkedIn and Patrick Seaton. As far as I know, I'm the only one. And it's easy to identify because the banner says the Decoded Mind.
Love that.
Is in essence, if you want to talk, I love getting into conversations, and I called it the Decoded Mind because for 30 years I've been in conversations. What's the best way to have conversations that engage people, that in whether it's in sitting in front of you or whatever? I feel like I've decoded that, and now it's time to go back and recode with the sender. So that's why I called it the Decoded Mind.
I love it. Now, the Decoded Mind, last question. Is it safe to say available on Amazon, or where can people get the book?
It's not on Amazon. Feel free to reach out to me. I'm just finished it about 3 weeks ago. I was working on it, and so it's not out on Amazon yet, but I am happy to, it's more like it can be an ebook, a PDF. I just have to take the next step into that, but it's only 50 pages, 50 some pages. So it's not a huge read. But I would love to engage in the conversation with people around keeping the humans in the loop.
Awesome. Well, Patrick, I want to thank you for not only being on the show, but coming back. It's a compliment to both of us when people want to come back. So thank you.
No, you're welcome. Thank you for inviting me back.